that's something that you love.
Wow, beautiful story that, isn't it? I've always talked about sport being one of the greatest tools to unite people. The only time you see an Iraqi and an American sitting down to have a smile is when they're talking sport. That's how big it can be. It can unite all those that have decided not to be together. It's powerful. It can get the youth off the street. It can get the youth out of the slums. It can make people money, most importantly. So it's big, brings people together, which is the biggest factor. And that's what sport can do. And so many times when we talk about sport in that line, we're talking about men being involved. Not so many times do you hear women being involved that much. We know the women's sport, but how about taking the lead to do what the men have always done? And I must say, I'm quite privileged and happy to have one of the ladies who has decided to take on the mantle to have a sports program. Let me be specific, football program that can take people out of the slums, unite people, take the girl child to the next level. Madam Mariam Mpata, here with us. Good to have you in Kwese.
Nice to be here.
How have you been?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Yes.
What I mean, I've always talked about. I love sport. I'm quite passionate about.
Yeah.
I know how big a tool it can be in this world to unite
yes.
people.
Yes.
And you're quite here involved in something that usually is done by the men.
Yeah.
Where do you even start? Where did you even start? Where did you get the idea to say, I'm going to take a lead?
Yeah.
I may not play.
Yes.
I may not be a financer to a certain team. But I'm going to start a program in sport, specifically football, that will involve boys and girls, probably in the future, men and women.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really very humbled to be here. It's my first Ugandan sports interview, and it's very exciting. My story goes back.
To have you.
My story goes back 10 years. You know, actually, tomorrow we make 10 years since I started the program. I've not always been a football fan. Actually, I disliked football as a young person because I thought it was for men. I had that same attitude that very many people have. And I thought it is just for men, it's tiresome, and you know, all that kind of attitude. But then when I moved to Mombasa, particularly in Kenya, some 16 years ago, I had my son, and he was about 2, 3, and he was very, very good at football. Not very good, but passionate about football. So he would play football all the time, and I would be very agitated about it because I would rather watch my movies than watch the football, you know, matches. So we were always in this conflict. So when he turned about 8, he happened to kick the ball over our fence, and it hit our neighbor's Benz right on the windscreen. And the Benz, yes, and the windscreen shattered. And my neighbor was very upset about it. And she said, you know what, you need to pay for this. You know, and at that time, it was about 60,000 Kenya shillings, which was probably like almost 2 million. And it was really a big sum of amount because 10 years ago, that was crazy. Yeah. So I started thinking to myself, why don't I take this young man to a football club where he can play? And I looked for a club in Mombasa. I couldn't find one for kids. So I started thinking, you know, I've done development studies, and I hadn't found a job. I'd been in Kenya for 7 years, and I thought to myself, let me just take this young man to the pitch with his friends, and I'll just sit there and watch them, you know, play their sport. And then while I was still thinking about it, Kenya went into the post-election violence. And then I came back home. And I came back home with my family. So while at it, I met Edgar Watson. And I talked to him about what I was thinking. I was just, you know, because I found that he was actually doing the same. So I told him, I'm also trying to encourage my boy to do this. How can I go about it? And he gave me all these ideas. I can never forget that. Up to this day, I consider him one of my football mentors. So I went when the...
He's a good guy.
Yes,
he was a great footballer too.
He was indeed. So then after that, we went back to Kenya. And in 2008, I said, let me do this. So I bought 5 balls, and I had to look for about 15 young boys, including my son, boys from the different areas, because some of them were from the slums. I talked to my friends. So we're about 15 boys. And my role at that time was just to sit and watch them play. Because I said, I mean, I have never played football. I know nothing. I'm just going to be a cheerleader. So we sat on 7th April 2008, we started the football club. That time it was called Junior Stars Football School. So we started like that.
So this was not even about you starting something to get a girl child involved. What you're doing is to start a place where your kid could play football.
Yes.
Wow.
And then
and this is not a person who's passionate about football.
I wasn't passionate about football. Even now, I might not consider myself a fanatic, but I've come to appreciate what sports can really do for a child, for a woman, for anybody, you know, because it's not just about the talent. It's about the social aspect as well. So for me, when I went into it, I didn't see all this big future. I didn't really imagine I would be here 10 years later on. I was just finding a space for my son to play, and now these other kids to play. And because now there was this other dimension of the post-election violence, I started thinking this could be a space for us to reconcile and bring young people back to the field and feel safe. So it started on like that. But then along the way, we started to grow. I realized, you know what, I have these other skills, you know, that I can put to use into this whole program. So we became Junior Stars Youth Development Program. We became a community-based organization. So we started using football and mentorship as a tool, to bring young people together. Wow.
So how exactly is this Football Stars Youth Development? Like, have you got coaches? Have you got people who come and teach the kids life skills?
Yes.
And is it one for both success, or it's divided into two?
Okay, in the beginning, I think for like 4 years, I was the only woman in that space. So then I began to feel very guilty, and you know, we had coaches, we had mentors who were coming in, but they were all male. So I began to feel guilty because I was missing the female aspect of myself, and I was feeling I'm cheating the girls as well. So I started to look out for organizations that are doing football for women and young girls. So then we started looking out for girls as well. And how we did it is we started having tournaments. So we started a program called Watoto Africa Soccer Awards that involves schools and communities. And what we do in that program is we bring on the coaches, we bring on the teachers, we bring on the kids to play. They play, they interact. And then, of course, the magic part was that we involved girls. So the girls started playing in the tournaments. And then when we have these tournaments, we often sit down. For example, when we have a Watoto Africa, each year we have a theme. For example, we can say our theme is diversity. Can we appreciate each other, each other's diversity?
And I think given where you come from, I'll be very key for you guys. You've talked about the post-election violence.
Yes.
Lots of tribalism.
Oh, yes.
So how much of an impact did that cause when you did that?
I think the impact has been very immense, not just in the numbers, but even the community in Mombasa and Kenya as a nation has recognized my role by recognizing me in many of the awards that they have, by saying, look here, Mariam, we recognize that your program is actually creating impact, because when we have kids from the slums playing together with kids who are coming from well-to-do families, there's something magical that happens. Because for a long time, I would have young boys who are coming from the slums, and they would really look very sad, and there's nothing exciting about their lives. And when they come in touch with these other kids who are from the affluent families, they're excited. They're talking about Dubai. They're talking about all these nice places they've been to. They speak good English, you know. And when they come together, this attitude starts to rub onto these ones. These other kids also begin to speak English. They begin to feel loved because Mariam is treating them no different from the others. And that is a principle that we carry in all our programs. We must all be equal, especially with the young people, because if you're going to create a generation that is thinking different, then it must start from the younger people. And you can only do that if you bring them together.
What has it been like as a woman for you to be spearheading a football project, a football program like this? What has it been like for you?
I think for me it has been, one, it has been surprising to myself as well as many people. But the other challenging aspect of it has been that most times, in the beginning, right now it has changed, but most times people would not take me seriously. They would dismiss me, they would ask me questions like, seriously, you haven't played football before. How would you even run a football program? Yeah. And I would say, but I've gone to school. I could hire people who know how to do this, you know? So for many times, I would easily be dismissed. And sometimes when we are looking for sponsorships, you find that someone will dismiss your project and give it to someone else who is a man who's doing something similar to your project. But I think I've proved my worth, I've proved my determination by not giving up, because we've done it now 10 years down the lane, and the impact has been tremendous. So we have a lot of support now from the communities, from the corporate world, and people look at it as, in fact, as a stronger aspect, because if you have a woman leading a program which is supposed to be for men, then it speaks volumes to the young girls. It says, look here, you can do anything. You have the power to, you just need to be able to have that drive and belief. So at first it was challenging, yes, but now I'm using it as my strong point.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, from where we started, you've been talking about it being, society-based program.
Yes.
Helping kids from the slums.
Yeah.
Bring them together with the more affluent families.
Yes.
I haven't heard you talk about, is it just about bringing those kids, talking to them, play a little bit of football?
Yeah.
Is there something to say we can find through this program the next Victor Wanyama, the next McDonald Mariga, or Anthony Mieno?
Yes.
Does the program also apply to that?
Yes, yes, it does. Because what happens, I believe that youth football, if you want a child, of course, again, I must admit that talent development in Africa is very expensive. Yeah, to produce the next Muhammad Saleh, you really need to invest. And that is not something that is easy to come by, because if I was to really say, yes, I can produce this kind of products, I would need the kids to be training every day. We can't afford that. And that's what happens in most of our African settings. We can't afford talent development. But I must also say that the time that the kids come to us, we have some other kids who have gone on to play, you know, in other teams, and you really look at the progress and you're proud of their progress. So it is not a space that I take for granted, because just interacting with the kids Saturday, Sunday, take an example of my own son. He was passionate about football. He had the talent, but he was able to, right now he studies in the UK doing sports management, and he's still passionate about football, and he's still a good footballer. And it is out of this Saturday, Sunday training that he has continued to grow. So I do not take that little training for granted. We look out for talent, and when we discover kids are talented, we try and connect them here and there, and, you know, let them take on their space.
One of the biggest problems in Ugandan sport is talent identification, but also youth development programs.
Yes.
And of course the coaching from the earlier stages, because that's key.
Yes.
When what we've been talking, someone out there will be asking, you guys are talking about Mombasa and Kenya.
Yes.
Is Mariam going to start one in Uganda?
Yeah.
What's the plan for Kampala or Uganda or anywhere?
I actually believe that I want to take over East Africa in terms of football, youth football. And that is why we came up with a product called Watoto Africa Soccer Awards. Right now, we've been doing it in Mombasa, yes, for the last, I think we've done 6 years now. Okay. We are moving to Nairobi in September to do the same product. But we've been also doing Watoto Africa in Uganda. And where we've had overwhelming participation, what we do, it's sort of like a festival. So we have schools or local teams playing almost for a month during the holidays. And there's a lot of, you know, talent out there. So I just want to be able to to make Ugandans know that, yes, we want to come into this space. It's high time because this is my country. I grew up here. It gave me so much. In as much as I've been in Kenya for 16 years, I am a Ugandan. I want to be an East African woman, Pan-Africanism, who is able to, you know, initiate projects that are going to help Africans, not necessarily one place. So I want to come into Uganda and partner with guys like you to be able to, you know, change lives and give young people hope.
Okay. Yeah. I know there's an event for you coming. Which one is that?
I have another product called the series, Women Series, where we sit down with young women and have discussions, conversations on issues that affect us. Because my background is just not only development studies. I did counseling as a higher diploma in Kenya. So one of my passions, apart from being passionate about young people, is, you know, women empowerment. Because I believe you empower a woman, or you give her space to just release her stress and be able to see her strength, then you're making better partners. So this particular Friday, which is tomorrow, we are meeting at Africana with a group of about 60 women to discuss about failure. To discuss about failure. How can we embrace failure as a recipe for success? Because most of the time we fail, you know, today, and you think, I'm not following through. Yes. And I want to tell these ladies, look here, as much as I'm celebrated in Kenya and in Africa, I have failed many times, but these are the lessons. Yeah. And so I just want to say, women, come tomorrow and let us have that conversation.
You know, I've had a lot of talk, of course, about women empowerment.
Yes.
There's so many things that people are trying to do across the country or even in the world.
Yes. But
you've come close to sport, so you know what it can do.
Yes.
How big do you think sport can be to a girl child?
I think it can be massive, because one of the other things that we do, we have a club called a Soccer Divas Club. And what happened in this club is that we are actually amateur women playing football. It was the first time I was actually playing football. That was 2 years ago. I was 38, and I became a goalkeeper for the club, because obviously I was a bit afraid of running. So I became the goalkeeper. But it was so magical for me. I couldn't believe that being on that pitch was something amazing in terms of empowerment and making you think differently. You're looking at this team, it's just not about you anymore. So for me, I think that for the girl child, it is powerful. Those girls who have talent, it is certainly worth investing in. And even for women who are just like me, it is so much powerful, because we looked at, right now the team is like a family. We support each other in our projects. So for girls, I think if they're young and they have talent and passion, then we need to support them. I think it goes back really to even the government and other stakeholders. If we put our hands together and support projects, not necessarily like mine alone, but there are so many people who are willing to do things like this, but they need support. It is so hard to achieve some of these objectives without the bigger support. It's really very difficult. Yeah. Now,
there will be someone out there who's watching saying, how can we be part of Mariam's youth development programs?
Yes.
How can we be part of her women empowerment program?
Yes.
What do they do?
Look for me on Facebook, Mariam Melosime Mpata. I'm all over on Facebook. You cannot miss me. You Google me. I mean, basically, I can say social media is my place, because if I give a number right now, someone might forget. But just go on social media, send me a message. I'm willing to partner with people. One of my strengths, or the things that make me unique, is partnerships, because I believe it's a win-win situation. You have something that you think that can help me. I have something that can help you. Let's work together. And make the world a magical place.
So you said Facebook, probably
Facebook.
You could say the name again so that guys
Mariam Melo Osime Mpata.
Okay, and about, you said social media, so Twitter or?
I'm on Instagram as well. I'm on Twitter as well. Yeah,
same name?
Yeah, same name. Just look for Mariam Mpata. Yeah.
At least you cannot miss the Mariam Mpata. Mariam, we're so honored and so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
We are thinking we should be having here a little more. Talk about how far the project has gone, and probably if it's big enough and how far you've gone in Uganda, I would love to have you have these projects here. There are not so many.
Certainly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching today. It's been Let's Get Started. We started quite early, 7 a.m. with Daniel Lutai and Bax, and then me and Daniel. Now we're closing this. We've even actually gone past our usual time. It's 10 o'clock. Nothing wrong with that once we're talking about a lot that can help society. Tuka Brands, my name. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.